What's going on, guys, and welcome to my audio review for the November 22nd, 2024 edition of WWE Friday Night SmackDown. I'm Graham Giason Matthews. Hope you guys are doing well and enjoying your weekend so far. I was not around last week to record a review for that episode of SmackDown from last Friday, which was actually excellent. That was one of the strongest SmackDowns all year. Between the ending, the Bloodline stuff, the Nakamura return, the kickoff to the Women's U.S. title tournament, the Cody Rhodes Nick Aldis segment, I really liked SmackDown last week. And sure enough, this week's SmackDown was equally excellent. And next week's show, which will be a tape show, I'm going to try to review before the pay-per-view next Saturday. The pay-per-view is earlier, not quite as early as the Saudi Arabia international shows of like 1, 2, 3 p.m. Eastern time. The pay-per-view next week starts at 6. I think because there's a UFC show that night or something else going on that night. I don't mind the earlier start times. If it starts earlier, it can end earlier. That is great. No complaints here. Just as far as my content is concerned, I am hoping / expecting to do a SmackDown review for next week, early on in the day next Saturday. After not doing one last week or 2 weeks prior to that due to the Saudi Arabia pay-per-view, it's been pretty inconsistent in the last couple of months as far as my SmackDown reviews are concerned. But I had to get on here and talk about SmackDown for November 22nd because I thought it was a very good show. So let's start at the beginning here. We had the Bloodline out in the ring to start the show. Solo Sikoa, Tama Tonga Loa, Jacob Fatu for a very short and sweet segment where Solo Sikoa simply said, "Roman Reigns, I invite you out to the ring later on in the night to accept the terms of surrender." Because remember, in the last week, Team Roman's team, the OG Bloodline, had yet to successfully recruit a fifth man for their WarGames team. Solo Sikoa got Bronson Reed on their team last week for a great angle. And, I'll talk about the 5-on-5 shit and my issues with it, why the ultimate reveal of who the fifth man on team, you probably already fucking know from the title, CM Punk. I'll talk about why I don't have a massive issue with that. I'm still not overly sold on the 5-on-5 format, but I'll get to that a little bit later on. But I thought they did a great job of highlighting and spotlighting Bronson Reed on last week's show. Because he's largely been doing nothing for the past 2 years in WWE since coming back. I know he won the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, but what the fuck does that even mean? They've had like 10 winners of that in the last decade, and I think only 2 or 3 of them are still employed by the company. Jey Uso, Braun Strowman, who actually got fired at one point, and Bronson Reed, who also got fired at one point, and has now been back, obviously, for the last little bit. My point is, they really haven't had a fucking clue what to do with Bronson Reed since bringing him back 2 years ago to the main roster. And he was out there for the segment looking like a star. He looked like a star last week when he was out there with the Bloodline beating down on Roman Reigns. It does give me hope that at some point we could see a Bronson Reed-Roman Reigns program and Bronson Reed working with more top talent like we've seen him been working with for the last couple of months in Braun Strowman, in Seth Rollins, we beat on Monday's Raw, albeit with help from Solo Sikoa and the Bloodline. But a win is a win. He should have won a crown jewel, but it's better than nothing. So my point is that Bronson Reed being on the team, for as little sense as it makes for this whole match to be 5-on-5, Bronson Reed has nothing to do with anyone in the OG Bloodline, the new Bloodline. It is what it is. So he was out there for this segment. Solo Sikoa keeping it short and sweet, saying, "Roman, come on out here, accept the terms of surrender, and have that be it." Obviously, you knew watching the segment this would go the way of the exact same thing that we saw with the acknowledgement ceremony a couple of months ago, about a month or so ago, where Solo invited Roman out to the ring to acknowledge him as his tribal chief. They have done that at least fucking twice in the last month or so. First, when Roman got beat down alongside Jimmy Uso, and again when Jey Uso came out, I think, or Sami Zayn. I think it was 2 weeks ago, actually. They literally did that segment 2 weeks ago, where Sami Zayn came out and made the save for Roman and joined OG Bloodline, blah, blah, blah. So you knew that was going to go the exact same way, where Roman would not accept the terms of surrender and have that be it. But it was a nice, cliffhanger for the end of the show, setting up the main event segment. They could have easily just advertised this for the show as, Roman Reigns has to accept the terms of surrender, as opposed to having the entire fucking Bloodline out there twice on the show. But it was quick, it was harmless, it was what it was. Our first actual match of the show was another match in the Women's United States Championship Tournament. Another quarterfinal matchup, triple threat matchup. Chelsea Green, Blair Davenport, and one half of the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, Bianca Belair. Another really good triple threat. I thought the match, which again I did not discuss here on the channel last week because I didn't do a SmackDown review due to being away, but I thought the initial triple threat with Bayley, Candice, LeRae, and B-Fab was actually pretty good. I didn't have high hopes for it. I know Bayley and Candice are actually very good. B-Fab, we haven't seen a whole lot of her in the ring at all, and she has not been very good in the past. So I did not have lofty expectations for that matchup. I don't know if it was a case of Bayley and Candice carrying B-Fab through the match, or Bayley and Candice doing most of the work, or B-Fab showing signs of improvement. It might be a combination of all three factors, but I actually liked that match, and the crowd was into it as well. That was once again the case here. This I had higher hopes for. Blair Davenport is really good. She has not been on TV in fucking months. She finished that feud with Naomi over the summer. She lost to Naomi again, and that was it. We haven't seen her on SmackDown since then, and that was like fucking August. So she resurfaced here for the tournament. Again, took the losing fall. What else is new? But I thought she had a good showing. Bianca's in there, who was great, and Chelsea Green has also improved a lot as well. So you had to know this would be a fun matchup. It was. It went the way of the Money in the Bank qualifier from a few months ago. People were pointing this out when they announced this matchup a week ago, that Chelsea Green has already beaten Bianca in a triple threat match. I don't know if Blair was in that match. She might have been. I'd have to go back and check. This might have been the exact same fucking match that we got. Let me check, actually, while we're sitting here talking. Money in the Bank 2024. And this will show the qualifiers for the pay-per-view. Because there was a triple threat match over the summer that Chelsea and Bianca were involved in, where Bianca lost, but she did not get pinned. But Chelsea stole the win and qualified for the Women's Money in the Bank ladder match. Did they show the qualifying matches? I don't think they do. I got to go back and look on my website as we speak. And this might take a second, but they might have done I know they teased the finish at one point. Chelsea almost did steal the win at one point in this matchup. The biggest difference here, though, is that Jade Cargill was shown attacked and laid out backstage. She was put through the fucking roof of a car, the windshield of a car, blah, 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 in the backstage area. I thought they revealed who it was initially because I missed the first, 3 seconds of it. And I thought they showed, Piper Niven standing over her. They might have, but it wasn't her that did it. It very well that would have made, honestly, thinking about it now, that would make sense. Because if Piper attacks Jade, Bianca gets distracted, Chelsea can win her match. Honestly, thinking about it now, I know they're teasing Bayley. Piper wouldn't be a very satisfying reveal, unless it's fucking Charlotte, which it's also possible. I don't think it is. Piper Niven, now thinking about it, would make sense. And then we can get Bianca, which we've seen before, but we can get Bianca and Jade versus Chelsea and Piper for the tag titles. I'd rather see Chelsea Green as U.S. champion at this point. But it is possible that's what they were setting up here. So I'm looking up. No, it was Michin. Okay, so I found the match. It was from the June 21st edition of SmackDown. Chelsea won a triple threat to qualify for the Women's Money in the Bank ladder match, also involving Bianca, but it was Michin who she pinned. So she again stole the win here in what was a good triple threat, advancing in the tournament. So per the bracket, she will face Bayley probably in 2 weeks, I would think, because the finals are happening. The funny thing is, we're still in the fucking quarterfinals. The finals are happening in a couple of weeks at Saturday night's main event. And there's not many more weeks for that to take place. I think there's only one quarterfinal match announced for next week. It's that Michin match with Piper Niven, and it was supposed to be Jade, but Jade got attacked, so she probably won't be a part of that match. They kind of put the mystery graphic, the mystery person graphic up there for the third person in the match. She probably will not be in Women's WarGames. More on that momentarily. But yeah, looking at the calendar here, we have next week's SmackDown, the December 6th SmackDown, and then December 13th SmackDown. So we only have 3 SmackDowns left, and unless they're doing Bayley and Chelsea next week, and they would do a semifinal match while they're also still doing the quarterfinals, I don't think, they're going to really have to rush to get this done. They're going to have to do 2 quarterfinal matches next week, or the 4th one. Thinking about it now, this would make sense. They're probably going to do a quarterfinal match next week. We know they're doing a quarterfinal match next week. They advertised. It was a tape show. I didn't read the spoilers. We'll find out next week. They'll probably do the 4th quarterfinal match on the December 6th SmackDown, the post-Survivor Series SmackDown, and then they'll probably do the 2 semifinal matches on December 13th before doing the finals on December 14th at Saturday night's main event. So that's probably where we're headed, which would mean that we're 2 or 3 weeks away from getting Bayley and Chelsea, but I am looking forward to the match. We did get it prior to Piper Niven challenging Bayley for the WWE Women's Championship over the summer, so we have seen the match before. It wasn't anything special, but, Chelsea's really kind of come into her own, even more so now than she was 5 or 6 months ago. And I would love to see Chelsea make it to the finals. Bayley making it to the finals is fine, too. If she's the inaugural champion, I wasn't overly enthusiastic about it initially, but if they want to have, they want to have her become the inaugural champion and then have someone like a Chelsea beat her or a Candice or a Michin or whatever, that's totally fine with me. As long as she's not winning the belt and then losing it to like fucking Naomi or Charlotte. And I like Naomi and Charlotte and whatnot, especially Naomi, but we don't need like established women always winning the belt. They could benefit, the belt should be benefiting people like Candice and Chelsea and Michin and the other mid-carders of the SmackDown women's division and eventually the Raw women's division as well. But anyway, I thought all of that to say this was a good triple threat. LA Knight again defending his United States Championship on the show, this time against Santos Escobar. So this was weird to me because Knight had an open challenge last week. And Legado had been complaining either in backstage segments on SmackDown or on SmackDown Lowdown, I forget where it was, but it had been a couple times where they had said they wanted more opportunities. And Escobar specifically stated he wanted a United States Championship opportunity. He already failed like 3 months ago, believe it or not, against LA Knight. It was soon after SummerSlam. Knight beat Andrade to become number one contender, challenged Knight for the championship at the end of August, and he lost. So Knight brought that up last week. When Legado came out to answer the open challenge, Knight had said, I already beat you, Escobar, to retain this title. I want to face some new competition, so he gave Humberto Carrillo an opportunity at the title. They had a good match. Knight won, got attacked by Shinsuke Nakamura. So if he denied Santos a shot last week, why would he then give Escobar a match on the show? And we didn't see the setup for it. They just announced it for SmackDown ahead of time on social media. I just thought that was odd. I'm not complaining. Knight's been a great defending champion. I've enjoyed the matches. He's still super over. He's been my favorite. I said this on Twitter during the show last night. He has been my favorite United States champion this company has had in fucking years. Years. I mean, I don't know what that says about the usage of that championship in the past 5 to 7 years. I don't know if he's my favorite champion since John Cena, but like, think of all the reigns, or if you can even remember, all the reigns as United States champion that we've had in the last decade, beyond the John Cena ones. Kalisto was champion for a cup of coffee. No one remembers that. No one gave a shit. Del Rio was champion for a cup of coffee. No one remembers that. No one gave a shit. Who else has been champion? Rusev. Like, the first one was good. The first reign was good. The subsequent reigns were very forgettable. Nakamura had forgettable runs as U.S. champion. Jeff Hardy was brief. Jinder's lasted like fucking 8 days. Even in recent years, the AJ Styles one was good, but it was way too short. Who else has been champion in that time? No, AJ. Well, no. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm thinking AJ Styles. I'm thinking of his Intercontinental title run. He was also United States champion, though, in like 2019. Ricochet's runs were really short. Joe's runs were short. Rey Mysterio's runs were short. Andrade had a kind of a brief run. Apollo Crews was champion for a little bit. Yeah, I'm just all of that to say that we really haven't had a great United States champion in a while. Like, even the Rollins run, which got off to a good start, was brief. The Theory run was off to a pretty solid start. And then it ended up being a complete afterthought because they forgot how to book him well coming out of WrestleMania fucking 39. The Rey Mysterio run was short. The Logan Paul run, I didn't hate, but like, he didn't really defend it much at all. Knight has had more successful defenses of that championship in the last 3 months than I think Logan Paul, Rey Mysterio combined. Theory did defend it quite a bit, but he just wasn't really all that over because, again, they forgot how to book him. Knight is super over. He's been a great fit for that spot, and he's had a really good run so far as champion. So, again, all of that to say, I like the match. Shinsuke Nakamura kind of overshadowed this match. We've already seen this match before, so it didn't really matter. But Nakamura overshadowed it by, his pre-tape promo beforehand, attacking Knight afterward, even showing up on the stage during the match. So the match was a foregone conclusion that Knight would win. It was pretty much an afterthought. I thought the Nakamura promo, as per usual, was well produced. He looked sick. I didn't have a chance to say this in my SmackDown audio review last week because we didn't do one. But he looks like Anakin from episode 3, and I'm not the only one who thinks that way. I had a friend who texted me last night talking about the show, and he said the exact same thing that I was thinking without even me saying it first or tweeting it first or whatever. So he thought the exact same thing that I did. And I didn't see anyone else saying that on Twitter. But Nakamura looks sick. His reason for going after Knight was established in that promo, like, oh, people love you, Knight, but you're a false prophet type thing, blah, blah, blah. Kind of like Cody Rhodes. It's pretty much the copy and paste program with Cody Rhodes from earlier this year. And I like that feud, but Nakamura never beat him. That was kind of the issue. And with this program, it's not going to be any different. But you know what? It's something different. It gives Knight an actual feud to kind of sink his teeth into for a little bit. I don't think Nakamura will win the belt. I don't think Nakamura should win the belt. We've seen him as United States champion at least once before, and it wasn't very fucking good. I think he won it twice, actually, and the second run was like a fucking month or something, not even. It was very brief. I think he beat Rusev to get the belt back, right? And then he lost it to like R-Truth in like a botched finish. Yeah, that was kind of a joke. But anyway, the forgotten R-Truth United States title run from 2019. And he was champion for at least a month or so, I think. Anyway, with Knight and Nakamura, I like the idea of a program with the two. It should be a good match. Gives Nakamura something to do. He's been off the show since fucking April. So it's something. It gives Knight direction for now. I don't mind it at all. Foregone conclusion that Knight will win, but that's fine by me because I think he should. Then one of the best parts of the entire show we got in the segment up next, Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens were advertised to have a face-off on the show. Owens was in the building. He didn't really face off with Cody per se. He showed up in the crowd, and obviously Cody Rhodes called him a coward. But Owens was all fired up as he approached the ring. Cody was kind of kept in the ring by security, separating them, but Owens showed up on the commentary table and behind the barricade, yelling at Cody Rhodes, blaming him as the reason for why Randy Orton is hurt. Now, Kevin Owens was the one that put Orton on the shelf with that pile driver 2 weeks ago, but he blamed himself. He blamed Cody for the reason why Orton was out, like this delusional reasoning. But it was what we all expected because Owens has kind of alluded to it, saying that Cody, like, you fought the Bloodline for years, and then you just team up with Roman Reigns. They fought me. I've been fighting them for 4 years. Roman Reigns specifically, the man that you teamed up with a couple of months ago at Bad Blood, or last month rather, tried to end my career on multiple occasions, and then you just fucking team up with the guy like nothing ever happened. He goes, I tried to help you win the championship at WrestleMania 39 against Roman Reigns. I was there for you after WrestleMania 40 when you won the championship, when you took it from Roman Reigns, and then you just team up with them. That doesn't make sense to me, brother. What he also should have brought up, and I know this is going back a bit, so I mean, WrestleMania 39 is also going back a bit, but this wasn't as memorable, so I could see why he wouldn't acknowledge it. But he can also blame Cody for the reason why his tag team with Sami Zayn ended. Him and Sami Zayn won the tag titles at WrestleMania 39. I mean, now the brand split means nothing, so it doesn't even really matter, I suppose, but him and Sami won the tag titles from the Usos, the Bloodline, at WrestleMania 39. They were champions for a little bit, lost the belts, failed to get them back from Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso, who beat them in a tag title match in the main event of Raw, which was really good. Owens, like that fucking week, got traded to SmackDown so Cody Rhodes could bring Jey Uso to Raw. He was doing Jey a favor, got him away from the Bloodline. Jey's had all the success. So we're going to get an Owens-Uso program at some point. If they end up on the same brand at some point in 2025, and they may not even need to because, like I said, the brand split at this point pretty much means nothing. That's a program that you can also kind of sink your teeth into with this logic. But Cody Rhodes was the one who orchestrated that trade. And because of Owens going to SmackDown, his tag team with Sami Zayn ended. And they didn't have a chance to kind of go back after the gold. Their rematch was that rematch. Was the match with Cody and Jey Uso in the main event of Raw. But it's not like they were able to stay a tag team. Owens was on SmackDown having United States Championship pursuits. And Sami Zayn also went on to do his own thing, become Intercontinental Champion, doing what Owens could not on Night 1 or Night 2 of WrestleMania. And he became IC Champion while Owens failed against Logan Paul and Randy Orton on that show, on either Night 1 or Night 2, like I said. So there's a lot of storyline depth there that you can also acknowledge. They might be saving that for when Owens and Zayn inevitably feud again. I don't know if that's at Mania. I don't know if that's after that. I mean, at this point, we might be getting Orton and Owens at Mania. I know you could say, they're going to do it at Saturday night's main event. They're not. I mean, I was initially thinking, you do Cody and KO at Survivor Series. How the fuck can you not? Cody Rhodes has not defended his championship on a pay-per-view in months since Bash in Berlin, since the last match, actually, with Kevin Owens, because he did not defend a Bad Blood, he did not defend a Crown Jewel, and he won't even be in action, apparently, at Survivor Series. It seemed like they set up the match for Saturday night's main event, which, in retrospect, is fine, because if you do the match on that show, then Owens will get cheered. They're in Canada, he's supposed to be the heel, they will boo Cody Rhodes, that's not the desired reaction that they want, so they're probably smart for doing that. It is a bummer as far as making that title. Cody Rhodes has not defended that belt in almost 2.5 months. To my knowledge, right? Has he had a title defense since then? I know he's facing Carmelo Hayes next week. Carmelo got in his face after the segment backstage. They're having a rematch from the draft episode earlier this year, next week on SmackDown. But he hasn't had a title defense on TV since he beat Solo Sikoa on the premiere edition of SmackDown back in mid-September, September 13th. So, I mean, it's going to be like 3 fucking months in between title defenses. That's like Roman Reigns shit. That's ridiculous. I know he's had matches with like Gunther and teaming with Roman, but he hasn't defended the title since then. They should have had him defended at least once since September. I know he's going to defend it. I mean, that might not even be a title match. That might be a non-title match in December. We don't know yet. Because what has Owens done to deserve an opportunity at the title? Cody might insist on it if Owens wants that match that bad. I don't know. But anyway, it's probably for the best they're not doing it next weekend for that reason of Owens getting cheered in Canada and whatnot. They might have a segment on the show anyway. I can't imagine they would have Survivor Series with other WWE champion in some capacity. I don't know. But just something to keep in mind. So I thought this was a great segment. It got me excited for their eventual rematch, probably at Saturday Night's Main Event. They mentioned that for a reason. They kind of honed in on that specifically, and that was not by accident. So I'm looking forward to that. That's a great attraction for that show. Bayley and Naomi in tag team action against Tiffany, Stratton, and Candice LeRae. Bayley and Naomi winning by DQ following involvement from Nia Jax. The match itself was fine, well wrestled, well worked, pretty basic tag team match. The focus was on the post-match angle with the women's WarGames combatants coming out, all brawling with each other. I don't know if Bianca was out there, but Io Sky was out there, Raquel, Rhea, Liv, all brawling with one another, setting up women's WarGames. So Jade, as we know, was injured on the show in kayfabe. So what I was talking about earlier, I think Piper Niven, now thinking about it, would make the most sense. Not exactly like the sexiest, most exciting reveal, but I feel like that would make sense. Bayley would also make sense. But here's the thing. You can argue, well, Bayley, she attacked Jade to get on the women's WarGames team. Why would she give a shit whether she's on the women's WarGames team? There's nothing on the line. I know Dakota Kai did the same thing 5 years ago. But I feel like the writing was on the wall with Dakota Kai, where she was on a losing streak and she had an issue with Shayna and all these other people that were in women's WarGames. Bayley has an issue with Nia and Tiffany and those girls, and she's friends with Naomi. And she has an issue with Bianca. Bianca attacking Jade would make no sense. Jade was discovered during the match. Unless Bianca hired someone to do it, I would say it would make sense for her to hire Piper Niven. But then if Piper and Chelsea beat them for the belts, then Bianca just gave up one half. I mean, that wouldn't make sense there, actually. They're tag team champions. That would just be stupid. Bianca turning on Jade would make sense at some point, but for it to happen that way would be silly while they're still champions. That's just dumb. Anyway, so Bayley is going to be the number one culprit. They kind of alluded to that when Bayley was outside at the ambulance, and Bianca was like, listen, get out of here. And I love the fact, I mentioned this on Twitter during the show, I love the attention to detail in that Bianca has yet to forgive Bayley for all that she's done as part of Damage Control and making Bianca's life a living hell for like 2 fucking years. Bianca never forgot about that, even though Bayley's a babyface now. Now again, Bianca, I realize, is teaming with Io Sky at WarGames. Someone brought that up to me on Twitter. Not to completely excuse that, but Bayley was the one leading the pack. Io was a big part of it. I mean, her and Bianca and Io have had a lot of battles. But Bayley specifically was the one, dishing out orders, and she and Bianca had a much more intense feud than Bianca did with Io. They had a ladder match, a last woman standing match, a lot of matches over the course of a couple years. They're on SmackDown and on Raw. So I think the Bayley beef is a lot bigger than Bianca's beef with Io or Dakota Kai. Just my opinion. So I could see why Bayley is still not yet in the good graces of Bianca. Bianca's going to blame Bayley. I don't think Bayley should go heel. Honestly, if anyone's going to go heel, I think it would be better if it were Naomi. I know Naomi's I don't know if she's more over necessarily, but we haven't seen her as a heel in a very long time, close to a decade. And it didn't really work because she's better as a babyface, yes. But the glow shit, it is still over, but it's been there, done that. She's not beating Nia for that title. You can give her the mid-card title. I would rather see, if we're going to get a Bayley-Naomi feud, which I'm definitely down for, I think Naomi should be the one to go heel. She lost to Bayley twice. They had a match earlier this year. She lost to her a couple of weeks ago. Or it might have been September, actually, where Bayley beat Naomi to get the title shot at Bad Blood, and Bayley won that, and she lost to Nia Jax at the pay-per-view. But yeah, I think Naomi going heel would make more sense. You can make the case for Bayley. I just feel like it's too obvious. Not that predictability is a bad thing, but I'd rather see Naomi go heel. How that has to do with the fucking Jade attack, I don't know. But I'm just making the point that Jade will probably not be in women's WarGames. She was not out here. Next week's the tape show. It would be weird if she's not cleared for next week's SmackDown, which is supposed to be in canon happening next week in WWE canon, but then would be then cleared for War Games less than 24 hours later. That would just be stupid. Charlotte's a possibility. I do not like that idea. Charlotte, I don't think it's Charlotte. I feel like if Charlotte was in that tournament, like if she took Jade's spot, then everyone would be, talking about it. I don't know who took the spot. I don't want to find out who took the spot. I'm just saying if it was Charlotte, I feel like people would have spoiled that by now on social media. Because it was taped last night, I believe. Pretty sure they taped SmackDown last night and they taped that match. So I don't think it's Charlotte. Could Charlotte not be in the tournament but still be in War Games? Yeah. Big possibility. But I mean, again, you can't make the case like, oh, well, Punk's in War Games, so it would make just as much sense for Charlotte to come back and be Women's War Games. It wouldn't, though. I mean, the Punk thing, which we'll get to in a moment, made sense to a certain extent because he's friends with Heyman. He has a history with Heyman, and he wants to spite Seth Rollins. We fucking know this. He does not like Seth Rollins. He doesn't like Roman Reigns, but it seems like he likes Seth Rollins a hell of a lot less than he does Roman Reigns. The Charlotte thing, you can bring her back to target Naomi, or Nia rather, and Tiffany, but it was Damage Control, Asuka specifically, where Charlotte was injured. I was at that show about a year ago in early December on that SmackDown, the Tribute to the Troop show. And, I mean, I don't think she's coming back for Asuka. Been there, done that with that feud. We don't need to see that again. And they work well together, but again, been there, done that. Million matches since 2018. She's going to be back on SmackDown. That's where her husband Andrade is. So she's not going to come back to target who took her out. But, I mean, I guess. I mean, Bianca might be like, listen, we don't really want Bayley on the team. I don't like Bayley, but I'm willing to deal with Charlotte. They were kind of on the same side about a year ago. They were in Women's War Games together a year ago. So maybe. I don't know who else it would be. Stepping up the team with them if it wasn't Bayley. It's either Bayley or Charlotte. I think it's probably going to be Bayley. And then they could say, hey, Bayley, I understand you were the one that wanted to be on the team. But, I just think it would be stupid if she was the one revealed to have attacked Jade. Because she was left out of War Games? Who gives a shit? I mean, they haven't really planted the seeds for a Bayley heel turn otherwise. That would just be completely, not random, but it would just be forced and rushed. Montez Ford taking on Tommaso Ciampa. Tommaso Ciampa getting involved in the Street Profits WWE Tag Team title opportunity last week on SmackDown against the Motor City Machine Guns in a good match that Ciampa ruined. So Ford wanted revenge here. He got it. He eked out the win in a very fun match in the time that was given. Both guys shining. Both guys should be getting more singles opportunities. I want to yell this from the rooftops. We don't necessarily need Blackheart Ciampa back right now. But I think DIY, it's too soon to break those guys up. So you could do the dynamic where Ciampa's the more aggressive, heelish one of the two. And Gargano's willing to put up with it. And he's not like turning a blind eye. He did try to talk to Ciampa here. And maybe you turn Gargano as well. I don't know. But, as far as this goes, I like that he's showing more aggression. I like that Ford is showing more aggression. Give both guys more opportunities. You don't necessarily need to break up the respective tag teams, but you do need to do more with them. So Ciampa attacked Ford after the bell. Dawkins made the save, went after Ciampa. Gargano broke them up. Ciampa shoves Gargano. Still more drama. The Guns are backstage saying that the Profits deserve another opportunity because their match was ruined last week before DIY get an opportunity. A lot of drama going on right now in the tag team division, and I love to see it because this division, for as many great teams as they have, needed more storylines, more storyline depth, more creative attention, and now we're getting it. So I love that. The last segment, as Solo Sikoa said, that Roman Reigns would be out there to, accept the terms of surrender, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, Roman did not. He was out there with the Usos and with Sami Zayn. They went back and forth on them. I mean, Solo really spoke. Before Roman could really say anything, I think he spoke, and maybe he didn't have a chance to speak, I don't remember. But he was quickly cut off by the returning Paul Heyman, who Roman attempted to call last week at the end of SmackDown. Heyman's phone was out of service. His number was out of service. We still don't know why that was. They did not explain that here. Maybe we find out next week on SmackDown or soon. I know it was just a red herring to kind of tease that Heyman and Solo were secretly in cahoots or whatever. And they still could be. I think it'd be fucking stupid. What would be the reasoning? The Bloodline takes out Paul, and then because Roman Reigns didn't call Paul Heyman, Paul felt like he was disrespected. And that's why he's joining the original or the new Bloodline. That would just be dumb. I mean, he could. It's very possible that's where they go with it. Solo could use Paul Heyman more than Roman Reigns could, but I still feel like that would be stupid. I think it would make more sense. So fast forward here, Punk's introduced as the fifth man, Big Pop, blah, 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 by Heyman. He's not doing it because he likes Roman Reigns. He's not doing it because he doesn't like the new bloodline. He's doing it for Paul Heyman. That is the sole reason why he's entering this match. And I love it. What's funny about it is because he was just inside a Hell in a Cell match. A brutal, bloody Hell in a Cell match literally less than 2 months ago. And his first match back is inside WarGames, which is pretty crazy. But again, he's not doing it for Roman. What this does set up, though, for down the road, and I think they had a very brief exchange as the show went off the air, where Roman said, "That's my wise man." And Punk says, "Well, we'll see," or like, "I'm doing it for him, I'm not doing it for you." And Roman said, "Well, that's my wise man." And Punk said, "Oh, I don't know about that," or whatever. Definitely, not imminently, but for down the road, planting the seeds. I mean, there is a storyline you can tell there with Heyman turning on Roman and rejoining CM Punk, which is quite the twist of fate because it was 10, 11 years ago that Heyman did the exact same thing with Punk. He turned on Punk and rejoined Brock Lesnar, who he was already with anyway, but like Heyman was with Brock and with Axel. I want to forget about that. With Ryback, also terrible. That went nowhere. But, Heyman dumped Punk for other people, and that's what Heyman's gimmick is. He always goes to the hotter person or whatever, and Punk might be a champion by that point. He might be, in a higher spot than Roman Reigns, who knows. But, I love that a lot. That idea of Heyman, Punk, and Roman being involved in a feud, in a program, a story with each other. And that's not even counting Brock, who will be back at some point. Brock could also factor in. I want Brock and CM Punk too. I know that was 11 years ago, but I feel like they could have another kick-ass match in 2025. And I mean, do we need Brock Lesnar back in the company after all the shit that he's been involved in with the Vince stuff? No. But I'm just speaking as someone who knows that it's inevitable that he's brought back, so we could just deal with that. But, this was great, though. Punk, Roman, the Usos, Zayn getting the better of the Bloodline and Bronson Reed, standing tall to close the show. Roman Reigns throwing up the one, Heyman throwing up the one, CM Punk doing the go-to-sleep pose, the taunt, whatever. Great ending to the show. Great ending to a great SmackDown. SmackDown's been picking up the pace in recent weeks. There was a period there at the end of the summer where they kind of lost their luster a little bit. September was better, October was better than September, and November so far has been better than October. A string of strong SmackDowns in recent weeks. I don't expect the same thing for next week just because it's a taped show, but then again, Raw this past week was a taped show, and I thought it was better than the week before when it was live. So I guess we'll see. I am hoping to, talk about the show next week here in the channel before the pay-per-view that night. Survivor Series coming up next Saturday, so keep an eye out for that. SmackDown Lowdown should also be up for this week, tomorrow, next week, probably same day on Saturday. So again, keep an eye out for that. But until then, folks, thank you so much for checking out my review of the November 22nd edition of SmackDown, a very strong show. Hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. Enjoy the Thanksgiving holiday next week. I'll catch you right back here on the channel for more content very soon. Until then, have an awesome one, folks. I'm Graham G.S. Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.